everybody. Welcome back to Swahili Nation, Swahili to the world. Welcome back to SNOA, Swahili Nation One Africa. It's good to be back here. It has been a couple days since we did live stream last time, but I'm very excited to be here today with every single one of y'all. I appreciate for joining me at this late hour, but I do understand that we are available almost all over the world. So maybe in your place right now it's afternoon, whatever time it is. Just let me know in the comment section where you're joining us from. Before we dive into these updates that most of you, I guess, and I think you have already seen them, because we have already shared some of the videos with this news and what really is going on in Africa. And it's very exciting on the other side, and the other side as well. It is scary, but we refuse to be scared. So I can say it's an opportunity and challenging for those people who love Africa and want to see Africa in a different level, not where we are today. It's an opportunity, because I love seeing problems as opportunity for me, or for us to actually do something as community, to bring about change. So wherever you're joining from, help me to do one thing. All right, first of all, like this stream, whatever it is, if it is X, if it is Instagram, if it is TikTok, if it is YouTube, please just press the like button. The second thing, subscribe or follow if you haven't done those things. Third thing, try to comment, trying to let us know where you're joining from, and it's gonna be amazing, because I would love this conversation to be for both of us. And maybe nearly I'll write down some information, and I'll be open up the space for you guys to come in, actually to raise your voice as well, to contribute your thoughts. The first thing that we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. They withdrew themselves from Ecowas. Pretty much they removed themselves from Ecowas. But we're going to talk about African Union a little bit as well, because I've seen what South Africa as well has said through the foreign minister of South Africa, that they actually considering themselves removing from African Union. We're gonna dive deep into that, and also to get your suggestion and opinions, why this is happening right now, especially in the time that we really want the continent of Africa to come together. But these bodies and these institutions that has been, bringing us together, to be honest, they're not really bringing us together. So we see some of the countries, moving aside and stepping out from that. So basically, if you have South Africa, the country that is considering to remove herself from African Union, then what does that really mean to the unity of Africa? Because the same country is in the BRICS. BRICS, it's a combination of different countries. We all know the new monetary system that they try to create, and the new system, they substitute or the second or the other option from what is there, has been there for a long time ago. So are we going to be able really to achieve that unity that we want, that one Africa right now that we want? Are we going to be able to do that if some of the countries are removing themselves with really legitimate reasons? Because you can look at these institutions and everything, then you realize that at the end of the day, we just have names out there, but the acts, the action, the product, the output is not really there. So what does it really mean to the unity of Africa? That is our concern here at SNOA, and I would love to hear your thoughts, guys. Really, today I really just want to hear your thoughts, guys. So if you're gonna join me here on the live stream, or if you're gonna share your opinion and tell us, whatever thought that comes to your mind, I just really want you to get into your thinking mind and really give me really solid reason or things that you think it's happening, and what does it really mean to the unity of Africa. I know we have a group of people that think that this is impossible, it's not gonna happen, not because it is impossible, but simply because of the commitment issue that we have in our countries and our politicians. There's not really that commitment of taking this agenda to the next level. But there's a commitment of just talking, and actions are not there. And one of the very vivid examples, we have seen that from President Ruto from Kenya. right? The president that will have been standing up, speaking about unity at the beginning of his regime, speaking about AU, African Union, representing Africa to all these meetings that are happening across the world. But we don't really see action in those things. You know, just yesterday they had a summit, I think, in Italy, and some of the African countries were there as well. So where is that representation of African Union? Why it feels like we keep being summoned to these kind of meetings, and we're going there kind of like, politicians, you know what I'm saying? They say A and they do B. So we don't really have commitment with our words, commitment with what we want to see happening in Africa. We don't have accountability with what we say. So it's just empty words, right? And so, when you see countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali removing themselves from ECOWAS, again, what does it really mean? Basically, that means you have Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali separate, alone, and then you have ECOWAS. ECOWAS is the Western stuff in Africa, right? But if you have that, then what does it really mean? If we can't work together, if we can't come together. And they give legitimate reasons why they're doing that. And we're going to go through that just in a short while. But yeah, let me shout out to you guys. All right. We have our sister Marie from Netherlands, and, LA we have right there. All right, some of you guys, you're not mentioning where you're joining from. That's all right. But if you feel like you want to comment something, just let me know where you're joining from. We have people from Ethiopia right here joining us as well. Always there. It's good to see you guys right there. Let me see here on IG as well. Ethiopia as well. I see the comments. In the flags and all the stuff. So yeah, so let me just pray a little quick and then dive into this topic right away. And I really want your brain today, guys. I want your brain, because I think we need brain, in these matters. We really need to process what is happening, and that's something that I cannot process alone. But I really need your brain. Like, I really need your brain, my brain. We put together, and then we come up with something beautiful. I believe we can do that. We have 54 people joining here on YouTube. We have some people joining on TikTok, IG and X. We have people joining there. So if we combine our brain together and talk about these things, I believe change. This is where it begins. You know what I'm saying? So. And you never know who is listening. To be honest, somebody told me the other day, say, Mika, sometimes I see you're frustrated. Sometimes I see you're mad and you're angry, but he say, man, you got to chill, because your time is coming. Our time as youth is coming. It's actually here, but it's coming, because these people who are messing up things right now in our continent, we see them, but they don't have long time to stay there. So the best thing we can do, us as youth, is be prepared, is being ready, so that when the time is here, then we know exactly what to do. And I think these conversations are very important, because one of us might be a leader tomorrow of Africa Union. One of you guys who are here, we might be leaders in our countries. And I'm telling you, you will go through something and you remember this conversation that we're having. That, oh man, I remember one day we're having conversation on YouTube and we talk about this. We spoke about this. You have no idea. This is how change comes. This is how change comes. Some of you might be right now in the government and you're wondering, okay, what can I do to bring about change? And you can just remember these brains of Africa from all over the world coming together and just navigate and just discuss about, how to really, really redeem this continent. All right. Because I feel like, the continent has to be redeemed from the hands of a few politicians who are really, bringing us back all the time. So yeah, God, I thank you for today. Thank you for the privilege to be here this night, and thank you for the privilege to lead this conversation, and thank you for the wisdom, and thank you for the intelligence, and thank you for the ideas, and thank you for Africa as well. We only do this because we know our purpose. We know why we're here. We know why we were born. We know why we are placed in this moment, at this moment, with these people. God, I know. And since I know my purpose of being here, I know it can only be fulfilled. First and foremost, if you are the center, and second, if we as a people come together, regardless of our differences, and just walk towards that dream that you have given us. So I pray that you'll be with us from the beginning till the end. In your precious name I pray. Amen. Amen. So if you're here, like, subscribe, and share this stream with somebody. It's very important to do that for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps, and all this social media, it really helps for us to reach to as many people as we can. So okay, my question that I want us to think and to talk a little bit about this. Well, you've all seen the news about Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. We actually shared, a couple of days here as well. So, okay, if you haven't got a chance to see, let me share here a little bit. I will share here a little bit for you guys to actually hear what it's happening, and then we're gonna dive into it right away. So if you don't know anything that is happening about Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and why they withdrew themselves from Ecowas, so here is the news. All right, just I'll give you these 4 minutes to listen to this. We shared this on our YouTube channel. I'll share the link as well for you guys to hear. Our team really tries so hard to find this stuff. Sometimes you don't find them in English, so we have to translate, and we have a lot of people who actually help us out to translate. Those people who speaks actually French, they help us to translate this stuff to understand. So listen to this little bit, and then I'm gonna come up with my question for you guys to hear. Right?
Of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso announced Sunday they are leaving regional bloc ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, that has been pressing them to return to democratic rule. The junta leaders of the 3 Sahel nations said in a joint statement that it was a sovereign decision to leave the ECOWAS without delay, because the bloc, they said, has imposed inhumane sanctions against their countries. They accused ECOWAS of having moved away from the ideals of its founding fathers and Pan-Africanism after nearly 50 years of its establishment, and claimed that the bloc is under the influence of foreign powers. ECOWAS suspended the 3 countries following military coups that overthrew their democratically elected governments in Niger last July, in Burkina Faso in 2022, and in Mali in 2020 and 2021. Since then, the 3 countries have formed a defense pact called the Alliance of Sahel States, which commits each to come to the other's aid in defense of its territorial integrity from internal and external aggression. They have also cut military and cooperation ties with former colonial power France and turned to Russia for security support. France's decision to withdraw troops from the Sahel, the region along the Sahara Desert across Africa, has increased worries over conflict spreading southward to Gulf of Guinea states Benin, Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Togo. Struggling with jihadi violence and poverty, the autocratic rulers have argued that their priority is to establish security before restoring democracy in their respective countries, which struggle to contain insurgencies linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. In the statement, Niger junta spokesperson Colonel Amadou Abdrahmane said that ECOWAS notably failed to assist these states in their existential fight against terrorism and insecurity. The trilateral decision of the countries to withdraw from the organization delivers a blow to its regional integration efforts, creating uncertainty on how this exit will impact the bloc, where goods and citizens move freely. According to the bloc's treaty, member states wishing to withdraw must give a written 1-year notice. Until then, the countries must continue to abide by the treaty provisions. The 3 countries are also members of the 8-nation West African Monetary and Economic Union, UEMOA, that uses the West African CFA franc pegged to the euro.
Oh, so that's basically the news that we released actually a couple days ago, I believe 2 days, and I shared the link in the comment section just in case you haven't seen it. So if you did not know, basically now you know why these 3 countries actually, first of all, what they did. We all know the stories. We tried here to cover as many times as we could, when all those military regime took over the government. And one of the very good moves that we have seen from these 3 countries, first of all, they came together and they formed alliance between those 3 countries. Basically, they were announcing that, all right, because they knew once Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso took over the government, these military guys, the main, I can say, the main enemy that was opposing that move of course, it was ECOWAS and also foreign powers. So they knew that, you know, we all have the same agenda. We all went through the same thing. And if we want to stand, if we want to sustain, and if we want to survive, we need to come together. So all these three countries, you know, formed alliances. And so now basically, it's basically like one country, but not really one country, in a way that if you come after one country, all three countries gonna come after you. Right. And I think you guys have seen, since they've done that, you know, to be honest, man, if you see the moves of the leader of Burkina Faso, he's one of the greatest leaders right now in Africa. You know, when you look at his moves, when you look at his speeches, when you look at what he does, you know, I shared just the speech of this guy from Burkina Faso yesterday. That speech, it was only available in France, but we had to translate it into English and then release. So please take some time to listen to that. I think one of the greatest speech that I've ever heard from him. And, you know, let me just, you know, share the link. I think I shared here. Let me share the link so that you guys may get to see, just in case if you haven't seen. One of the greatest speech, man. And there's another one that, you know, he did interview yesterday. Also, we're going to try as well to kind of like, you know, translate and share with you guys. I just share the link. Please, if you get some time, you know, watch that just to listen, this young leader of Burkina Faso, what he says. And one thing that you realize coming from these guys, you understand that these guys, they actually really care about the countries, and they care about their people. They care about the well-being of their people. For them, it's not just about development, but it's about the quality of life of the people. It's about the strategy of the next generation. You know, Myles Munroe once said that, you know, the good, I say politicians think about the next election, and leaders, good leaders, think about the next generation. So if you want to separate, and if you want to know that this guy is politician and this guy is the leader, just listen to what they talk about. Listen to their concern, because it's very easy to know that this is a leader and this is just you know, a piece of shit. And if this is just a politician, it's very easy to know. Just look at what they say. Right? Okay, there are people who are really good at speaking, but, you know, character of somebody always reveal, you know, through what they say. You know, sometimes you can hear actually and understand what they're concerned about. But when you listen to a leader like Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré, you realize that his concern is about the next generation. His moves, his decision, and what he does for the country, he does for the next generation. His speech, what he talks about the next generation. He talks about the student. He talks about the kids, like how we're preparing, you know, their life. He's not concerned about just, you know, to do something today, to be elected tomorrow. No, he is actually talking about the next generation. What can we do today that will help our people for the next generation? And if you see him, then you realize even him, he's the product of Thomas Sankara, who was killed a long time ago. Why? Because his concern, it was about the next generation. And those leaders' legacies, they always last long. All right. So you can easily see that from the leaders. You can hear that. What are their vision about the next generation? Not about in 5 years, 10 years from now. No. What is your vision for 50 years to come, 100 years? Yes, maybe you're there, you're going to stay there for 10 years or for 5 years, but what is your vision for this country? And the vision is not something that just, you know, you always have short-term vision and you have long-term vision. And if you're a visionary, I mean, if you're a leader, you must have those kind of dreams. Yes, you are in the regime for 10 years, but tell me, what are your vision for this country in 100 years to come? Basically, your vision for 10 years, what is it going to help? What 50 years, 100 years to come in the country? Tell me about that. Don't just tell me that, oh, I'm going to do this A, B, and C 10 years and then that's it. Because the new leader, he's going to dream about another thing. Another leader, she's going to dream about another thing. What this vision you have for 5 and 10 years, what are they going to do to the future of Africa? What are they going to do 5 years and 100 years to come? 1,000 years to come today? What are they going to do? Because we have seen the decisions that our forefathers made 60 years ago, man, they're still living alive and well today. I'll just give you an example. The leader of Tanzania, Julius Kambarage Nyerere, his vision for this country, Umoja, Nguvu, his policy, it was to actually eradicate poverty, illiteracy, and education. These three things, and diseases. Poverty, illiteracy, and diseases. So how can you get rid of illiteracy? You need education. How can you get, rid of poverty as well? Education, pretty much. But also diseases. It was his main focus in what he does. And one of his philosophy was Umoja, Nanguvu. It's actually even in the logo of Tanzania. Umoja and nguvu literally is like unity and power. Unity is power, right? And you can see that in the country 60 years later, this is one of the country that people are actually together. You know, things about tribalism. He's the guy that he said, you know, it's very strange and it's really sad that in 21st century, you have people who believe and still riding in the buses of tribalism. So one of the things that he really rebuked, he really fought during his regime. And this is the guy that he stayed for some time in the regime, and people, they requested for him to continue to be in the regime. And he said, no, I'm going to step aside and I'm going to let other people lead the country, even though they did not lead as he wanted. But he stepped aside. And people, they begged him to stay in the government. These are people that actually wrote down the vision of the country. Of course, not him himself, but, you know, his wife, Maria Nyerere. There's other people that they were together with him, Kawawa. A lot of people that they were together with him thinking, dreaming about the future of this country. And today, 60 years later, in Tanzania, we don't fight with tribalism. It's not something that we deal with. We don't deal with, you know, religion. We don't deal in the country. But why? Because of those visions that were written 60 years ago. This is the guy that was predicting 100 years to come, Tanzania. And today we are living his dream. So imagine, look at the power of vision. Look at the power of commitment. Look at that power of accountability. The vision that you are in the regime for 10 years, but what you do in 10 years, they're going to last for the next 50 and 100 years. And that is what we are lacking in Africa's leadership today. We don't have leaders. We only have titles. And I'll say that with really sadness that we only have titles, because you have people who are thinking about the next election, what can they do today to be elected tomorrow, but they don't think about what can they do today that is going to save the next generation. They don't think about it. They don't remember that they have their kids, their children, that their life, their safety is going to depend on them. Okay, maybe they accumulate wealth, so much wealth for themselves and their children, they're going to live a good life. But you know, when you look at your family line or your family tree, it goes all the way down there. Your cousin, how are they going to survive in 20, 50, 100 years later? And that is one thing that countries like China really does very well, because they think about the next generation. They do things today thinking about 100 years to come. I went to Dubai 2 years ago and I went to this vision museum and I was looking at the vision of 2060. I was looking at the vision of 2070, 100 years to come. Dubai, what kind of country is going to be? You see it in reality. You can actually see Dubai transiting from the desert land to where it is today and where it's going to be after 100 years from today. People, they wrote this vision. People, they think about the next generation. People, they think about 500 years to come. Why do you think America has been superpower for so long? Because the leaders, the forefathers, they were dreaming about America in 1,000 years later. Today, China is taking over, and look at the mindset of Chinese people. They think about 1,000 years to come. But okay, you come to Africa. You have politicians. That's why I call them politicians. When I say politicians, I'm not cursing anyone, but I can't be hypocrite. I cannot call you a leader if you're not qualified to be a leader. Being a leader is not just leading a country or leading a group of people. It's not about that. It's about vision. And what is it going to do for the next generation? If you're in a company and you want to be called a leader, it's not about what you do today, but it's about what are you investing today for 50 and 100 years to come. What is your dream for this company in 50 years to come? And what are you doing today to make that happen? Because don't tell me that, you know, I have a vision, you know, for after 20 years, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to ask you, what are you doing today prior to that vision to come? How that vision is going to come? Show me the stages, the step. How are you getting there? And that's what we're lacking. But when you look at young leaders like Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, you'll see that this guy, he's concerned about the next generation. And you know, until right now, more than 5 times, man, they tried to take him down. But they're not successful. You know why? Because people are together. Because unity is power. People, they came together. All these countries, 3 countries, they came together. They defend each other. They know what is at the stake. They know what is coming. They know, actually. They already know that, you know, they're going to try to take us down. They know. Our own people, just like what they did before, you know, to our forefather Thomas Sankara, and what they're gonna do. They know it already. And so when I see the news like this, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, or South Africa thinking about withdrawing themselves from African Union, then I'm asking myself this question: that why is that? Why is that? Why it seems like the only way for, actually not even for work, because it doesn't really work. Why it always seems like for Africa to sit down and to talk and to plan, we need someone else from outside to call us, to summon us, for us to talk about our vision for Africa. You have president like President of Kenya going to Italy, talk about what Africa is supposed to be. Right there to the enemies. What Africa is supposed to be. Think about that. We talk about what Africa is supposed to be. That's what our leaders talk about. That's what politicians talk about. What Africa is supposed to be. Do you try to get what I'm trying to say? What they talk about, what Africa is supposed to be. Everything is wrong about this sentence. Everything is wrong about this mindset. No, what Africa is supposed to be. Until when are we going to be planning and dreaming about what Africa is going to be? What are you doing today that is going to bring about that change in 50 years to come? Don't tell me that Africa is supposed to be this. We are supposed to be one. No, don't tell me we're supposed to be one. What are you doing today that is proving to those dreams and to those ideas that you want to unite this continent? Don't tell me that we should remove borders. No, we should. You are in the position of power. You can make it happen. Don't tell me what Africa is supposed to be. Why are you there then? Then we better change our seats. Come and do YouTube. Be Pan-Africanists like us who are here talking about it. Do that. What Africa is supposed to be, that's something this youth we're talking about today. And we even put on action. You have authority, you have power, you have resources. Everything is in your hand. You can actually make decisions and things change, because in Africa, our politicians, they're like gods in our countries, so they can do whatever the heck they want to do. They can press those buttons and do, but they are not yet taking those decisions. So don't tell me what Africa is supposed to be. No, you are a leader, right? You show me how Africa is supposed to be. Show. It is the time to demand action. It is the time to demand excellence in our leaders. Don't tell me what Africa is supposed to be. Don't give me false hopes. We have been given hopes for so long time. When are we going to see actually those visions have been actualized? And you can see from young leaders like Ibrahim Traore, you can see this guy, he is taking action for the next generation. You can see decisions that he's making today. Cutting ties with France, kicking them out. And be like, we don't want this kind of ties. Mali doing the same thing. Niger doing the same thing. Dealing with the food security. With all these attacks, with all these things that are coming after them. Yet these guys are standing tall. They don't even have experience, man. This is a young dude. He just came to the government. He was a soldier. If you look at his history, man, you're going to be surprised. This guy. He came out from there. Today he's here leading the country, and Khan is running away. We're sitting down there and say, you must have experience in the government. You must be, old enough, mature to lead the country. I say no to that, man. You don't need that. What is leading the country is not about age. There are people who are old and their brain is tabula rasa. They don't have vision for the next 50 years, because after 5 years, probably they'll be dead. How are you going to put the future of the country in the hands of those kind of guys? That's why United States is in trouble right now. Look at the options they have for the leadership. Look at the option they have. So what do you expect? What do you expect? What do you expect if that is your leader? Someone who you're waiting any time to actually bury them. What do you expect? So but look at these young leaders. Look at these young folk. Look at Ibrahim Traore, what he does for his country. This guy, he has passion for his country. This guy, he has vision for his country. This guy, he's ready. He's ready to live for his country. He's ready to do anything without afraiding anything for his country, because he is concerned about the next generation. Why? Because he will be there. Might be there. Maybe at that time it will be 70, it will be 80. You know what I'm saying? So the future of Africa is in our hands. The future of Africa is in our hands. The future of Africa is in our hands. And let me talk to young people. The best thing we can do right now is us being prepared, being ready so that when the time comes, we have vision, we know how to execute them, we know how to bring about that change. Not only that, but we have money to bring about change. I was talking to one of my mentors today, and he told me one thing. He said, he was asking me about my vision and everything. And, you know, I was sharing with him, and he said, my son, he said this, he said, my son, I want to advise you one thing. He said, I want you to focus right now on wealth creation. That kind of vision that you have, if you don't have wealth, it's going to be impossible for you to achieve. It's going to be very difficult for you to achieve. So he said, my son, I know what you do. I see, I'm proud of you, but I want you to focus on wealth creation. Create as much wealth as you can. It is very important for your vision. It is very important to bring to pass what you want to bring to pass. Even if you're not a leader, but if you have wealth, then it is impossible to make it happen. Then it is possible to make it happen. And I agree 1,000%. I agree 1,000%. We as youth, what we can focus on right now is create as much wealth as we can. Is be prepared. Is have excessive amount of income in our pockets. So that when the time comes, so that the foundation that we're building up today, we are building the Africa that is completely independent. That will be the one that will fund the projects that are happening in the continent. We'll be the one that will build hospitals. We'll be the one that will build leadership universities. We'll be the one that will build medicine factory, like creation of medicine factory here in the continent. We'll be the one that will fund this project with our own money. We'll be the one. We'll not just fund this project, but we'll create these industries and we'll produce wealth for ourselves and our fellow Africans. We'll do that. So young people, young Africans, that's what we have to focus on today. Because I'm telling you, man, these old folk, they don't have a long time. I'm sorry. No offense to old folk. No offense to you. No offense to you. But this continent, 30, 40 years to come, we'll be here. We'll still be here. Because, man, this is, you know, you had Moses and then you had Joshua. You had Ibrahim, then you had Jacob, then you have, Joseph, then you had Moses. That's how it is. As much as you want to stay there, I'm telling you, man, if you do not know, my African daddy, PLO, he always say that even a good dancer knows exactly what is the right time to leave the stage. If you overdance, if you overdo it, you're going to ruin your show. So you better know what is the time to step down. If you don't know, something will happen and it will ruin your entire legacy. And people who are going to be in trouble are the next generation. So are we having leaders who are concerned about the next generation? If you are here watching this and your concern is about the next generation, you are a leader. If you are here and your concern is next election, you're a politician. And I think it is a time for us as Africans, even when we vote for people, let's think, let's ask them about the vision for 50 and 100 years. Some of the politicians here, if you ask them there, and they'll tell you, I'll be here for only 10 years. That's the only thing I can think about. You know exactly where to vote. So let me ask you guys this question, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, all right? And I'm going to drop this link in the comment section. So if you want to contribute, you'll click this link and come and join. So my question is this, out of this one. If the reason, you heard the reason from the video, the reason why this country are dropping from ECOWAS, or some of the countries considering leaving AU, it is simply because if they say they see there's so much influence from the Western power. Whoever feeds you controls you. So if whoever financed you controls you. If you wanna know who is leading Africa, look at where the finance is coming from. If you wanna know who is leading your country, look at where the money is coming from. It's very easy. Look at where the money is coming from, then you know who is really in charge. It's very simple, and data out there. You don't need to tell me that. No, you just talk. Those are just talk. No, just look at where the finance is coming from. Because in this 21st century, nobody is going to give you money for free. So my question is, so you know these guys are removing themselves from the because they say they don't see any effectiveness. Terrorism in the country just keep increasing. People they decide to go on the right direction, but you know they're standing there against them and start threatening them. We were here talking a couple months ago. Even AU they stopped and they say, "You guys, no, please, you can't talk about war." That Tinubu, the president from Nigeria, you saw what he was talking about. Niger when they took over the government. You know what he was talking about? Ecowas, just threatening the fellow countries and sanctioning them. That's another major reason. They say because how can you work for us if you're sanctioning us? It's basically you're working against us. So my question is, man, I asked at the beginning now, and then now, I don't remember that question. But okay, so how are we going to unite our people? How are we going to unite Africa? If these kind of bodies like ECOWAS and AU, they don't really do the work they're supposed to do. The bodies that we expect, I say this is not the Africa we deserve. These bodies that we expect them to bring about change, they're not doing it. How are we going to unite our people? I dropped the link in the comment section. I want to hear your thoughts. Click that link and then come on the screen and share with me your thoughts. All right. I want your brain, guys, today. I really want your brain. Because, I said this, one day, people who are watching here, they're leaders of today, they're leaders of tomorrow. We need these answers. These videos, they're going to stay here forever, man. Sometimes you're going to need to go back and listen to what the people say. Because I'm telling you, man, I'll tell you the truth, man. If you're a leader in Africa, you just need to listen to people. Because, man, people, they're brilliant. People, they have solution. People, they are facing difficulties every single day. If you are humble enough to listen to what people say, you'll be successful in your leadership. Leader, you basically just need to lead people. And leading people, the first important thing in leading people is knowing what they need, listening to them. And when you listen to them and you add with your ideas and your vision, you're going to get there. Listen to people. When you think about priorities, let me tell you, priorities in Africa: food security, electricity, clean water, education. These are priorities in Africa. It's very easy. Focus on this thing. Focus on education. Educate your people. The reason why Korea it is where it is because they invest so much in education. Focus on education. Focus on infrastructure. Focus on food security. Electricity is the most important thing. You focus on this priority, I'm telling you, your country will never be the same again. You don't even have to do anything else. You don't need these buildings. You don't need, no. Focus on that. Focus on education. Increase the budget in education and make sure that our people are getting pure African education. You do that, man. You listen to the needs of the people, the change will come. Okay, I have my brother here, the architect, is already in the room. Let me bring him on and just hear what he has to say. My brother, welcome back. How are you, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Happy Excellency here.
Yeah, same to you, man. Same to you.
Yeah, my brother. I just wanna hear your thought, man. You always have these brilliant ideas. So it's your stage, man. Just go ahead. Give it to us.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that we can look at a lot of other places, like first of all, we need to look at other places and see how other places got their true independence. This one might sound a little like out of the way, but I was reading the other day about how Romanians got their independence from the Soviet Union, and how they did it is that they lobbied in the countries that were outside of Romania. You know what I mean? They used the diaspora in order to get their independence, and that can be a way to that's one of the ways we can start to dig into creating this idea of a united Africa. Marcus Garvey was doing that like 100 and something years ago. No one has managed to really pull so many people together to do that up until now. And next thing is that and I don't know, every day that pass by, I'm losing faith in our elders that they actually know what need to be done, because this Pan-Africanism has become now nothing more than a trigger word to a lot of our elders. It has become nothing more than a trigger word, and then the way how they behave and talk about Africa and try to tell us and give us this false hope. This false hope has become one of their new political strategies to win elections. They talk about Pan-Africanism, to their whole campaign. And then as soon as they get into office, you wonder if that's the same person. So I think a way to bypass that is to the youth have to find a way to build momentum in the court of public opinion, because the leaders are not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They are bought and paid for. And they don't have no shame. They don't have no shame. You know what I mean? They will tell you one thing to your face, and then tomorrow they're telling you the total opposite of what they said to you yesterday. So we almost, I remember Biggie used to tell us we almost become like kind of like ambassadors. I feel like we in the diaspora who have that knowledge, like political education and so on, need to find groups and start lobbying in the countries that we are, and then those in the continent we need to find a way to connect and start connecting everything, because this wasn't done. What happened to Africa and what's happening to Africa is not being done without force. It's force that got Africa in that position that it's in. It's force, because if you remember, when Africa was split up, there was no elections. Nobody voted for anybody to split up Africa like this. They split up Africa with no Africans around in Europe, and then they came with the guns. And we are over here fighting over invisible lines now. We're talking about territorial integrity. You know what I mean? Fighting our brothers over territorial integrity. And these little trigger words that they're getting from the West, territorial integrity, our this and our that, our sovereignty, and this and that. And when you look across these invisible borders, you can't even tell the difference between one person on one side of the border and the other person on the other side. So I feel like as I said, we need to the youth are the one who is gonna do this. The leaders, the elders, I don't think they're good for guidance, but I don't think that they are fully capable of what need to be done. The youth need to do it. The youth need to find a way to build momentum in the court of public opinion, because the other courts, they're not working for us. So the court of public opinion can help to force things into place. And to be honest, there's so many stuff to deal with when it comes to like Africa and how they split up the place. And like this is you remember the Chinese had 100 years of humiliation.
Oh yeah.
We have over 500 years of humiliation. We're still getting humiliated. You know what I mean? So it's gonna take a lot of time. It might not happen in our lifetime, but I think it's an intergenerational struggle. And our time right now it's like the momentum is good right now when it comes to like Africa and so on. A lot of people are becoming more conscious because of like social media and so on, and that all that plays a part in the court of public opinion, as far as I know. So 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 definitely you need to build momentum in the court of public opinion, and then also we need to become ambassadors and organize intelligently, have intelligent organization, because it's not just organization. Protesting is one thing, but if you're protesting just to beg the white man to bring you up on another level, that's not going to work. They don't. This is what driving the unbalance, how the world is unbalanced, is what driving their engine. Is driving their engine to make them feel like they're better than everyone else. They're not going to give you what you deserve. So you gotta take that in a way where you're not lashing out wild, but you organize intelligently and you're strategic about what you're doing, how you're building, and so on. And there're gonna be resistance, but there is no power becomes great without resistance, and the resistance usually comes from a power that's greater than you in this world. So that's my opinion.
The architect, I appreciate. I'll get back to you, the architect, but I have somebody else here called Kedil Hassan. Kedil Hassan, are you here, my brother? I'm gonna bring you in for a second to hear your opinion. The architect, I'll come back to you. Hang in there. Kedil, how are you, man? Where are you calling from? Kedil Hassan Abafita. Are you there? Hello? My brother, can you hear me? All right, you can hear from Kedil. Guys, I dropped the link in the comment section just in case you have a thought you would love to share with us. Click that link and come and join me. I'll share here on Instagram as well. If you click that link, it'll actually lead you direct to this stream. You can come, you can join, and you can share your opinion and your thought. And when you come, you join here in, make sure to check the private chat. We have a private chat here, place where we can talk and discuss and hear. Kedil, are you back? Are you there? Hello? All right. So, Kedil, when you're back, there's a private chat right here on this screen, and that's where we can communicate, prior to our talk. All right, guys, there's a link I dropped there in the comment section for you to come and to raise your voice as well. Okay. As I'm waiting about that, kuna one there's I spoke in Swahili. There's one comment I saw it here from Ruhina Sabiti. He said, in fact, Italy is the most economically poor country in Europe, but I wonder as a country how it can call Africa a continental of 54 countries. It only happened in Africa. What I'm saying, these leaders, man, they already know what kind of Africa leaders we have. They know, man. These are kind of people that love, take pictures, and they love, to be called upon. They love to go to those, countries to talk to these guys. They love to, to live in the five-star hotel as if you don't have them in your country. They just love that. So every country at this moment, every single country, summoned Africa for these meetings. It's really
Micah, you froze. Seems like Micah dropped out. I don't know why I'm still here if he dropped out. But also, he's listening. Oh, he's back. Good, good, good.
Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead. I was just removed. Like I don't
Oh,
even know what happened, but I was just removed
okay.
from my own
No.
show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hopefully, hopefully that don't happen again. But anyway, also I was gonna say that you see these borders are not the only containers that the European made for us. They're also evolving. They're evolving to organizations. These organizations like Ecowas, they're containers because I don't know if you remember Jerry Rawlings from Ghana when he heard that France wanted to take over the ECOWAS currency and hijack it. He came online and he said France leave before he died. He said France leave Africa alone, leave Africa alone. That's what he was saying in the speech before he passed away. And is that when I started realizing that these organizations like the Economic Community of West Africa, the Economic Community of Central Africa, SADC, um, even if you go to North Africa, you see the Arab League. All these organizations are containers. They're there to contain us. They do nothing but to contain us, to contain our growth. And this us is not only to organizations, but it's also through it's not only to organizations in Africa, but it's also to every organization that begin with world, international, and global. The IMF, for instance, right? The World Bank. These are containers. How is it that Libya had no debt when Gaddafi was alive, but they killed? But now Gaddafi is dead. Libya is a place for slavery, and now they owe so much money to the World Bank. These are containers. These are there to make sure that generation after generation we do nothing but owe Europeans
Yeah.
and their colleagues, and
Yeah.
we give nothing to our own people to even create generational wealth. Recently, Niger, the French ambassador in Niger, when the Nigerian people was telling them to go, this man told the Nigerian people, if you want us to leave the country, then stop drinking our water. And this was because the water in Niger was owned by France until recently, The water in Niger was owned by France until recently. So even ECOWAS, man, I call that organization the European Community of West African Slaves, because it seems like they make up these they make up these organizations, and then they say, how can we keep these people back for another 200 years? Let's see how we can give them some money and then ask them to have them do structural adjustments, which means which means they're gonna start building railways, but the railways are not to benefit you. The railways are built from the where they take the gold to the ocean, where they pick it up, and then they say, you can't grow this and this type of food because we're gonna give you that now. We're gonna import that for you. So you see countries in Africa constantly, when they have like little civil wars and so on, you constantly see people on other people's borders, and the USA aid coming with their rice to give them rice, because they can't grow the rice themselves, because the deal that they made with the IMF and those people says that you can't grow certain things in your country because we're now gonna provide that for you at a cost. So these are containers. So we have to get rid of those containers. All of them. Even the African Union, brother, is a container, because the African Union in the Constitution, it says that we have to respect the borders that we create was there after independence. We can't work with that. How are we supposed to have a united Africa when we're looking at invisible borders? The only people that could cross the borders, as I told you before, is the elephants and the terrorists freely. If you want to cross the border as a law-abiding citizen, you don't have that option. You have to go to a visa. You have to go to Europe, come back down in Africa, those kind of things. So these leaders are also even containers, because Mr. Tinubu was responsible for the crack epidemic in Chicago when he was in America. So they're just there to contain us. That's all it is. How do we keep these people down so that they don't get power and they don't form unity? Because if that happens, then we can't call ourselves smart anymore. Yeah, that's what I had to say.
Yeah. The architect, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, man. And let me just see a couple of the comments that are coming in as well, because these are all, different ways of contributing to what we're saying. It's good to see you, Sophia, right there. It's been a moment. Renam, the only shout out to everybody who is joining and pressing the like button and share and subscribe. Help us to subscribe. One of the goals is to reach 500K by March. So help us out to reach there. The only way for us to reach there is by your support and by you actually clicking that subscribe button. So yeah, let me see. We have a duty to create a better life for the African children of tomorrow. Yes, that's all about a generation. Adel, that comes from Adel. And yeah, Adel, I see a lot of your comments here. Renee said, "Let's remember the peace pipe worked. It seems until certain people came along and changed the meaning. The basics have been swept under the rug." Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I see, Adele, you repeat the same thing. Man, I see your comments. So if you comment just once, it's fine. You don't have to repeat the same thing 1,000 times. Um, Colonial rulers are the puppets from Ruhina who pretend to serve their peoples when they are there to represent their outside bosses. All right. Um, Oh, so let me ask you this question, and maybe this will be my last question, my final question to you, the architect. So we have these institutions that they are supposed to work for the unity of Africa, but it kind of not kind of feel like, it seems like it is that way, that they don't really work for that, because it you don't have to have a degree or even go to high school or even middle school or even primary school. You don't need to go to school to actually know what are the ways to unite the continent, because anybody, even if you did not go to school, you are able to find a solution to a problem. You look at the problem, what is the problem in Africa, you see what causing this problem and how can we handle that. It's the basic, that's God given, you know education. You don't need to go to school to figure out that.
Yeah.
um yeah, and we have institution that their main purpose or mission is to actually do that, but we constantly see these institutions working against that vision. We see it very clear, with their moves and how they respond to the moves like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. We see that. So it's obvious for me. When I look at it, it's obvious for me that they are the reason why we are where we are today. It kind of feel like they were formed to delay unity. They're formed to delay Africa from going forward, and we just keep standing where we are today. We don't really move forward, and as a result, you see some of the leaders just try to move on their own, and some of them come like this, moving away from Ecowas, from AU. And I think we might see a lot of countries doing the same thing, in the few years to come. So what to do?
Oh, so
And
your
why is
question,
that? Why that is happening?
yeah, your question is what to do about those organizations?
Yeah.
Well, I, I've also started to realize as days go by and I read and I study about Africa and so on. I realize that sometimes we also are a little hard on ourselves and the people that are on the continent, because a lot of them, the result that you see in these three countries in Africa, It didn't just happen. It's years and years and years of work and education that has brought about these three soldiers who eventually just broke that curse and said enough.
Yeah.
So people are actually working to make sure
Mhm.
that these things actually happen. But we also have to remember, like I was telling someone today, as much as we want to get out of neocolonialism, there's a force that's as powerful as us, and some of them even more powerful than us in this world, who are working to keep us in that same position.
Yeah.
Right? Because it benefits them, and he has been benefiting them for so long that they don't even want to that to break, because they're basically getting a dollar for nothing. If you look at Niger again, Niger was selling its uranium for like 80 cents. That was being sold for 200 euros in Europe.
Mm.
So for me, I think that we have to like really organize
Yeah.
to the point where the leaders fear us more than they fear them demons that they go to in Europe, go make discussions and say how they're gonna deal with us. Those people those presidents that they go to in Europe, and come back to tell the African people how they're gonna manage us. They have to fear us more than they fear them, because they're put in there they're put in that position to serve, not just to lead, to serve. You have to serve, and most of them don't even know how to serve because they don't even know what the people want. They're just using trigger words to get our vote.
Mm.
So you're gonna take some serious organizing. I'm telling you, serious organizing, and it had to be organized to the point where it drives fear into them.
Mm.
And also a big thing that's happening in Africa and is being used to the advantage of the oppressors is this tribal thing. You know what I mean? This tribal thing is really bad, really, really bad.
Mm.
And it's not and this is not it doesn't seem like it's not a 50-year project or a 100-year project. This is like hundreds of years project that they put in to make sure that these different tribes fight against each other.
Mm.
On top of that, you have the religious aspect to it now, where people feel like unless you're a certain religion, you don't deserve to be alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Mm.
it's all I could say, brother, is gonna take some serious intelligent organization. It's gonna take organization on the ground and organization um on a higher level as well, not just on the ground. Because as I say, if you're just gonna protest and then you're gonna go back home, that's not enough. Protesting and just going back home is not enough. And we are not required to follow other people's rules. We're not required to be governing ourselves because somebody says something called democracy. We must come and say we're governing ourselves by democracy. You have to create a whole new system,
Mm.
because that system is not going. That system does not going is not going to work for us. It
Mm.
if there's a system that says you have a civil war in your country and they're telling you have to vote, how are you going to vote when you have a civil war in your country? What kind of thing is that?
Mm.
You have terrorism all over the place and they're telling you can't develop your own weapons. How are you supposed to survive?
Yeah.
That's my input, but you can also give me yours because I still need to know. I still need like a little advice as well too. You know what,
Ah.
bro? I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Before you answer me, I'll tell you.
Mm.
Uh, I remember Malcolm X said there has never been a bloodless revolution.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So uh, it's serious organizing, man. Serious organizing,
Yeah.
because our blood is precious. Not because we see Africans dying every day on YouTube and on TV means that it's not precious. Our blood is precious. That's
Yeah.
why we need to organize before we even go out and say this is what we want.
Mm.
That's my input.
Yeah,
So give me yours now.
man. You know, the scripture says, Bible says in the book of Proverbs, for those who read 29:18, that where there's no vision, the people perish. Where there's no vision, the people perish. And I spoke a little bit about the vision before, but this is what I mean. I'm gonna answer your question through that verse. That you know, these institutions, I see people like, you know, Ruto, who has always been saying about reformation of these bodies like African Union, but I really don't see hope in reformation of these organizations. Simply because of its vision, and basically I'm talking about foundation, how these institutions are like, if the foundation is built upon not upon the solid ground, if the foundation is built upon the sand, then that house, it doesn't matter how strong house is, but when
Mm-hmm.
the storm comes, that house will be shut down, it will be swept away, it will be taken down by the
Mm-hmm.
water. But if the foundation is built upon the solid ground, then that house will stand. So when I look at these institutions, and when I look at the implementation, the basically actualization of its vision, and what so-called vision and what they need to do, you know, you don't see hope. So basically, you see what Burkina Faso and Niger and Mali, what they've done, they don't see hope in these institutions. You know, they don't see actualization of its vision, but they only see sabotaging. Like they see these organizations standing on the way of these organizations to pull them back, to draw them away. So even if you talk about reformation, but if the foundation is corrupted, then I don't see how we're going to build the house, you know, upon the corrupted foundation. So so what is the solution? I think I will go with what oh man, this is tough. Um, this is really tough, man. This
Yeah.
is really tough. But I think it goes down to really, I think it really goes down to people, us, you know, us changing our mindset and not looking after this foundation to actually bring the unity, but us as people starting to actualizing these things. We can sit down and condemn and want them to do some for us, but I think we as young people, we as a people, we're tired and we know that we're not gonna see any change. So we do just like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger did. They say, you know what? Okay, let's come together and let's
Mhm.
stand together as a people. Let's stand together as countries. Let's defend against these countries. Okay, the first thing, let's kick away these French people. So they kick them away. Or a second, let's, you know, basically let's sanction Ecowas by removing ourselves from them because they have been sanctioning us. Okay,
Mhm.
let's do that. All right, let's deal with the next generation. Okay, let's come with this plan. And you can see their moves. They actually move together towards that change, and you can see the change happening in these countries, and they've tried so many times to take them down, you know, but it's not happening. Why? Because of that unity, because they realize that, okay, if we move with this organization, this institution, we're not going to see the change we want. We need the change right now, and the only way to make it happen, let's do it right now. And how can we make it happen, and how can we do it right now? I'm here. I want change right now. You are here, the architect. You want to change. 57 people and other people watching from other, you know, social spaces, basically 100 people. They want to see this change right now. Okay, how can we actualize that change right now? If the problem is education, okay, how can we build, you know, schools? How can we come with the decolonization sessions like what we are having here right now to bring about this, this education? If you have professors, if you have doctors, if you have all these people, how can we do that? How can we reach out to people? So I think it's 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 better we start asking ourselves, how can we do this,
Mhm.
instead of uh you know instead of looking at these who can do it, right?
Yeah.
We can look at the politicians, we can look at the institutions, but we should ask ourselves, how can we get it done? How can we do it as people? How can it do it? And I think that's where everything, because we are the one that are going through all this stuff all the time. We are the real victims. in
Yeah,
this
and you're
situation.
right.
Yeah.
You know, you're right. You're right. And that's as I was telling you before, that can be done without intelligent organization. That's the key to everything, because
Mm,
a government, what a government does, a government collect, stores and strategically redistribute their resources. That's what a government does, you know. So
mm, mm.
in order to pass these boundaries and get rid of these borders, at least in our head as Africans, we have to create something like a people's government.
Yeah.
So a people's government that have leverage.
Mm,
Don't you look at, for instance, just look at how the Israel people have America, who is such a big power, like a little toy. Don't you see how
mm,
they treat? Don't you see how they treat America like a little toy? Because those people have infiltrated every Western government
mm,
intelligently. They don't
mm,
even come out on the street and protest. They don't have to do that,
mm,
because they organize themselves so intelligently and so subtle that you just seeing things changing around you and you don't even know what's happening
mm,
when it comes to those
mm,
people. So intelligent organization, a people's government. We don't even need to really deal with the leaders. We can render those, in a way, not
mm,
fully, but you can render those leaders useless if you have a people's government. A lot of
mm.
times when a lot of Africans try to do these things, they end up getting killed in Africa, because
Yeah.
the government knows if this person is gonna come to this community and build a school and bring sanitary products and bring food and so on, this is making me look bad, so they kill them.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So
That's
and
really messed
also
up, man.
also let me tell you something.
Mm,
The African Union, I'm so sad to say, the African Union need a coup d'etat, because that is what Gaddafi basically
I
did.
shouldn't be laughing at this, man.
Yeah, yeah, that is what Gaddafi basically did when he changed it from the OAU to the AU. And look at how fast they came for him.
Mm,
So unless that African Union constitution change, I don't see any hope in that thing called the African Union. I feel like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger need to form their own African Union, and we build a parallel African Union, and we
mm,
see who have the interests of the African people at heart for real. And
mm.
when people see that the African Union don't have the African people's interests at heart, they're gonna give up hope on that. And that's what
Yeah.
we're gonna want them to do. So I'm
Mm,
telling you, the African Union need a coup d'etat. They need a coup d'etat. They need to just rewrite that constitution, get that other old constitution out the way. I don't know who wrote that. It looked like some European wrote that thing, and let us move on from this idea that we have invisible borders and stuff like this that we didn't even ask for.
yeah.
You know, that's how I see
Mm,
anything can change, because you know it's the power is in a lot of power. There's a lot of power in the constitution, you know.
mm,
As long as the constitution say one thing, this is what gonna lead the people, even unconsciously, that leads people. And it's leading us unconsciously even as Africans, because
mm.
we still believe that these borders that is in Africa somehow make us different,
Yeah.
and it doesn't.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on that. And yeah, just those institutions cannot help us, brother. ECOWAS, um, all those other institutions, they can't help us to do anything. They're
Mm.
not serving us. They're serving Tinubu and his little gangster friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I
Absolutely.
feel.
The architect, my brother, appreciate for raising your voice and come to hang with me right here. Thank you so much, my brother.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's always good, man, to have somebody to talk to and with that brilliant mind of yours. So I appreciate, man. I appreciate for keep doing
what
a good work.
one more? Thank you, brother. One more thing. This
Mm.
guy who is the head of the chairman of the Africa Union. Who's this man, man? Who's this man? The only time I hear this man talk is when he tried to condemn something.
I have no idea, man. I don't even know his name. And I
Yeah.
think I think that's the sometimes we don't know people because you don't really see them doing anything. The reason why we know PLO Lumumba, the reason why we know Malema, the reason why we know Ibrahim Traore. We don't even speak his language, but we know about him, and we find his things, and we try to translate because you can see their impact. You can
Yeah.
actually see it, and you can't help than knowing these people, finding out who are these guys. But some other people, it's hard. It's hard to
Yeah.
know them.
Yeah.
And they're representation of our good. Anyways,
Bro, no one voted for this man. No one voted for him. Who
yeah,
voted for him? None of us, none of you on the continent did. None of us in the diaspora did.
I have
So
no idea.
I think,
I don't even know how they choose these people.
brother, I think we have to begin to ask ourselves, where are these people coming from? Because a
Mm,
lot of them being trained in Western countries to go back to perpetrate the same poverty.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not gonna keep it too long. This we can go on even, man. We can go on all day about this thing because it's really something that hits home. It really, me as a person who never even come to the continent every day, man. I even have maps in my room,
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
maps of Africa in my room, mapping out things every single day. It really
Mm,
hits home, man. I'm telling you, it really, really like hits home because I feel like Africa can be such a powerful place,
yeah.
such a powerful continent. But the resistance to good is really strong in these leaders, man. Even,
Mm.
but man, I can't get over Ruto, man. The man is still saying he wants troops. the man today the man is still saying he wants troops to go to Kenya, even though the court shut him down. How much did they pay this puppet? Do they have a brain chip in this man's head or something?
My mentor today, he told me something very sensitive, very sensitive. He said something that is really sensitive. He said that, we're talking about leadership and everything, and he said, it's really sad, my son, that he was talking about actually East African community, and he said it's really sad that some of the leaders that we have, they have been chipped in, like, by them. They have
Mhm.
been placed in our governments, and every time when, like, you have like EAC having meetings, or AU having meetings, those private meetings, but they give reports. They know what exactly is happening. They know exactly what the plan is happening in the EAC, or
Mhm.
AU. They know exactly how to sabotage, because there are people who have been, I mean, they're basically puppet. They've been placed there for
Mhm.
that specific reason, in return to give all those information. So how can you bring about change if you're living in those kind of environment? Because you can't tell your enemy your plans. You can't tell them everything that you plan about. But we
Exactly.
you know we use Gmail, whereby, when you put just your password and everything, they know everything. Everything is gone. These platforms we use, and that's
Yeah.
what you use, in the web. So it's, when he said that, I realized this is the man. He's telling me things that he knows, because this is quite influential man.
Yeah.
He get to talk. He get to go to these places, and when you hear this, you can know that, oh, he's speaking something that it's true. It's
Mhm.
happening. He sees, and he says that, the work you're doing is really important, because this is the state of our continent. This is where we are at, and this
Mhm.
is where we have been for so long. So it's just by the grace of God we are here where we are. But man, things that are happening, it's just crazy. Anyways, man.
Well, let me just say one more important thing is that
Mm,
the African youths need to build think tanks too, because these people who are listening in on our like presidents and so on meetings and so on, these are not just ordinary people. These are people who are part of think tanks. So when they don't listen to the presidents and the prime ministers and those people plans, they're going to the think tank to see how they can sabotage that using their so-called quote unquote legal means.
yeah.
So at the same time, and trust me, Africa has so many think tanks, brother, coming out of the West. There's not much African centered think tanks. All the think tanks that are in Africa, most of them are think tanks that are coming from outside. People study about different resources and how to dig up certain resources outside. They create a think tank, and then they come to Zambia, and they start to dig up resources out the ground, taking the resources, because they're from different think tanks that they know how to manage poverty basically. So that's another thing. That's another important thing the African youths all over the world should think about. How do we build think tanks to combat this vicious system that they had locked us into since slavery? Yeah, that's my last comment.
Appreciate, my brother. Appreciate. Whoever
Yeah,
who has ears, I hope you guys have listened, and it's a time for action. So as you go to work, as you plan your life, as you think about, let's think about 100 years from now, all right? And whatever we do today, we're aiming
yeah,
at that place. So let's do that for the next generation, for our children, brother. I appreciate. I'll let you go now.
yeah, man. Take care.
Appreciate. Love you, brother.
Salute. Love you too, man.
That's my brother. Afewek Getachew asking, how can I join you guys? I actually shared the link a couple times today here, but my brother, the architect, was the only one who came joined. Another guy was trying, but he was having difficulties with the internet and everything. And that's the thing. Even me, when I was kicked out from this live stream, it was actually internet just kicked me out, so I had to replace with my personal data. That's what I'm using right now, my personal data from my phone, to be able to make this happen. So yeah, yeah, it's a challenge. uh but all in all, guys, I want to appreciate everybody who came here today to join. I would love to stay here for as long as I can, but I don't know this guy. Should I give him the no. We come back. So after work, get at you. Help me to do one thing. Turn on the notification belly button in this channel. It's very important. So if you like the stream, you subscribe. Also turn on the notification bell, so that you may be notified every time. Anytime that we go live, you get notification. From your YouTube. You do that, and it will help you so much, because we can go live anytime. And if you're there, then you'll be able to come and join. I always give opportunity to people to come and to share their content, and their thoughts. Not everybody is open to that, but those who are coming are joining here. I understand here on TikTok as well. I've been having people waiting here and wanting to come and to share their thoughts, but allow me for today to stop here. But this is not the only day I do this. All right. So for you as well on TikTok, just make sure to like, follow, and you can go live here anytime. Instagram, X. I appreciate you guys for joining so much. If you miss the conversation, we had really great conversation from the beginning, talking about visions and all this stuff. Talking about the situation and the updates from the western side of Africa. So please, after you've done this, if you haven't seen, if you don't know where this is coming from, just go back and listen to the stream from the start. And if you can share with somebody, it'll be amazing. And if you can contribute your thoughts, just drop the comments. It'll be amazing. And if you want to help and support us, you can use super chat, you can use super stickers, you can use Patreon, you can use membership, you can use PayPal. All the links are in the description of this video. All of our videos, when you go to the description, you find those links so you can support. If you want to support just once, you can use PayPal. If you want to support monthly, you can join Patreon or membership here on YouTube. All of that, it will help us, it will help this channel to run. I appreciate for those members. You can actually see, for example, we have Renee Black. She's one of the members of this family, and you can see her name, and they have a little page in front of her. And your support and your membership and what you do monthly, that is what helping us to continue to run this channel, as you can see. And for those Patreon, we appreciate you guys for your help, for your support. You help us, you support us, and we're able to run, this channel and to run this project because of your constant support that is there. So yeah, keep supporting us, keep standing with us, and let me say this as the end: let's generate wealth, youth. Let's focus on generating wealth as much as we can, so that when the right time comes, we'll be able to do something. And let me tell you this okay, it could be as a joke, but also it's kind of like prophetic. Is that this is the time for Africa. When you look at the AFCON, the top countries that has always been favored winning, they're gone. and look at the countries remain there. I don't want to go deep into this, but if you're watching AFCON, look at countries that are remaining there. This is not coincidence. This is to tell you that this is the time for Africa. This is the time for black men. It is the time for us. And don't play with timing. Don't play with that opportunity. Grab that opportunity. Because if you don't, somebody else will. Let's generate wealth. And after my meeting with my mentor today, I think I'll bring here, I'll bring here people to just talk about generation wealth. How can we build wealth for the next generation? It's very important. Those are conversations that we'll be talking about, because we want to build generational wealth for our people, starting from myself. I wish I can come here and not talk about, if you want to support this channel, Patreon, subscribe, these people. Okay, you know what? Anyways, let me stop right here. Guys, thank you for being here. And God bless you. And I was reminded that last year we started a program of every single Friday we had a session to pray here for Africa. So oh my God, yeah. I'm okay. I might be traveling this Friday. So but yes, all right. But I'll talk to His Excellency. So hopefully starting from this Friday, we will start coming back here and have a prayer pray until something happens for the continent. It's very important. We can't leave prayer aside. So I'll talk to His Excellency. I'll hopefully come back here on Friday and have a session of prayer. So stay tuned, and hopefully we can pray here on Friday for our continent. All right, God, I thank you for today. Thank you for the wonderful 1 hour and 30 minutes that we had here today, me and the family here. And I had my brother, the architect, to discuss the talk. We just had a nice session of wisdom, of knowledge, and education. And I just glorify your name, and I thank you for everything that has happened here. We don't just want this to be the place where we could talk, but we want to see change. And that change will be the one to bring that change. So whatever that we talk, whatever that we do, as the Bible says, that iron sharpens iron. So I believe that this will it will trigger, stir up the fire inside of us to actually go out and to bring about change. So help us as we step out in our workplaces, as we step out in our jobs, as we step up in our governments, or step up in our countries and our families. God will bring that change and leave the purpose that you called us to. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, I pray and I believe. Amen. Guys, I love you. First of all, let me say bye to TikTokers. I appreciate you guys for being there. I released a video today. Please go and watch that. And for people here on YouTube, on X, and on Instagram, for those who are joined here before and joining here right now, wherever you are at, I appreciate you for joining. And I love you guys, and thank you for all the love and the support that you show us. Just know that without you, there's no us. And that's why unity is important, because without you, I don't exist. Without you don't exist. We exist together. We depend on one another. And unity is power, unity is strength. So I appreciate you guys. It's good to see Nana Dream. Been there for a long time. It's good to see you. It's good to see Reggie, my brother, family. It's good to see you guys. So, all right. I appreciate guys. And okay. It's good to do this like this. Appreciate you guys so much. And yeah, I'll see you another time. Okay. Bye-bye. the very beginning of time, right? And I can ask you one question right now. What does history tell us you about Africa? Who discovered Africa? If you write right now on Google who discovered Africa, you find out that is one white man that he came and discovered Africa. And you can ask yourself that how can you discover a place that already exists? How can you discover a place that people already live in that place? It is impossible, but that's what the history tells us. That's what people believe about Africa, that it was discovered by a white man. This guy, he came, and then he went back, he gave a report, and then the next we know is colonialism, because those guys, they sat somewhere to divide Africa like a piece of cake, because they discovered it, they own it, it belonged to them. But that is us. We discovered, we're the first people to know. And today you have a lot of people around the world that they think that Africa was discovered by them.
Okay, let me tell you this, guys. Darkness has no power. Darkness has no power at all. Like darkness, it has no power. Why? If you're in the deep darkness, all right, you don't see anything. You don't see where you're going. You don't see what is next to you. And then you just turn light. In 1 second, that darkness disappears. So do you understand the importance of light in the midst of darkness? Okay, on the other hand, if you have light, it doesn't matter how much there's a deep darkness, it doesn't matter, but you always see something as long as there's a light. This is to tell you that, guys, in the midst of darkness, there's these bright moments that happen, and our job is to focus on that. Sometimes, there'll be a time we'll talk about the issues and everything and the struggles that are happening and how can we get over this, and there'll be a time that we channel our energy and we channel our hearts to something good that is happening.
So Africa, a place where poverty and pandemic diseases are originated, the least wealthy continent per capita, the land where the only things to be found are animals, corrupted leaders, poor kids, dirty water and civil wars, people who are in need for help, donations and support.